Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Adam Narreau, and in this video, I want to give you 3 tips on how to lower your interest rate. Let's go. All right, so we all know interest rates are on the rise. How can we combat that so we can actually get the lowest interest rate possible? So the first tip I want to give you is going to be to increase your credit score. Now, obviously, the higher your credit score is, the less risk you appear to the lender. So the higher your credit score, the lower your interest rate is going to actually be. So in this case, if you plan on buying a home in the next year, maybe 2 years, you want to do the work and get your credit score as high as possible. Now, along with that, the other thing you want to work on is also your debt to income ratio as well. These two are going to mold together or kind of work as a team. And the lower your debt to income ratio is and the higher your credit score is, the lower your interest rate is going to be. So if you plan on buying a home in the future, 1, work on your credit score, get that thing as high as possible, and 2, also get your debt to income ratio as low as possible. Now let's move on into tip number 2. All right, now the second tip I want to give you is going to be to buy down your interest rate. Now, in this example, let's say we're going to buy a $500,000 home and our interest rate is at 5.5%. So in order to buy down our interest rate, the lender is going to refer to what are called points. And points are typically about 1% of the purchase price. So in this example, we're going to be at $5,000. So if we want to buy down our interest rate, if we're at 5.5%, let's say to 5.25%, that would typically cost us 1 point. So in this example, that would be $5,000. So if you do plan on buying down your interest rate, what you have to calculate is how long do you plan on staying in that home? And you have to find the break-even point. So if you only plan on staying in the home a couple years, it might not actually be worth it to buy down your interest rate, where you're actually going to be wasting money on buying down the interest rate when you don't actually hit the break-even point of living in the home long enough to recuperate those gains. If that makes sense, hit the like button. So what I mean by that is, if you're going to spend the $5,000, let's say you save 50 bucks a month buying down the interest rate from 5.5 to 5.25%. And let's say that saves you $50 a month. So in order to recuperate the $5,000, that's going to take you 100 months, a little over 8 years. Now, if you don't plan on living in the home that long, then obviously this isn't going to be a wise choice on how to spend $5,000. Now, if you plan on staying in that home 15 years, then obviously you're going to see all the benefits past the break-even point. So keep that in mind if you do plan on purchasing down your interest rate. All right, and our third tip is going to be to have the seller buy down the buyer's interest rate. Now, in my last video, I mentioned seller concessions or seller credits. Now, this is a way where, in my last video, I gave an example of a request for repairs where, let's say, in my last video, I talked about the windows were broken and it was going to cost $3,000 to fix those windows. Instead of having the seller actually pay to fix those windows, what you could do is actually have the seller, instead of paying the $3,000 to fix the window, is use that $3,000 towards buying down your rate. Now, this only works in certain markets. So as of right now, how we're in a kind of a neutral market where we're obviously out of a complete seller's market, but we have rising interest rates and more homes are coming to the market, which is leading us towards a buyer's market. This is a time where you can take advantage of such a deal right now. So since homes are sitting on the market longer and more homes are coming to the market, as a buyer, you can use that to your advantage to have the seller buy down your interest rate. So I hope this video makes sense. If you like the information in this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. And as always, my name's Adam Narreau, and I will see you in the next one.